Hey, Life Center fam, it's Pastor Alex again. I believe your gifts and your talents uh, and your abilities are just like food, if you will, and they can be spoiled or become polluted. And let's discuss why. Well, it's like the 4th of July. Everybody had a lot of food left over, probably. We didn't have that much because of my family. We believe really in having a good time eating. But if you had food left over and things like potato salad or your chicken that you had, you really want to keep that refrigerated so it doesn't spoil, so it could be good. You could continually eat it, and it could be nourishment. And I equate that a little bit, that same thing to your gifts, your calling, your talent, the abilities that God has given you. They're great. You nourish people with what you're doing. But at the same time, we don't want your gifts to become stale or become fruit, how you say it, polluted or spoiled. And the way you do that is that you actually have a refrigerator for your gifts. And you say, okay, where are you going with that? Well, actually, the refrigerator for your gifts, your talents, your abilities is actually your character. Your character is a huge refrigerator that keeps your gifts and talents from being polluted. Let me give you an idea of some scripture, and going back to Job 1:1, and it first starts off. It's called in Job is perfect and upright. The Bible also talk about praise is upright. They talk about this uprightness, is your character. In Proverbs 11:6, it says, "The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them, but transgressors shall be taken in their naughtiness." In Proverbs 11:3, it says, "The integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them." Listen, my friends, over my life time of service in the kingdom, I saw many people with gifts and talents. But however, they focused on their gifts, but at the same time, they wasn't keeping the temperature up on their refrigerator, which is their character for their gifts. And some of their gifts got tainted, they got polluted, and therefore they were not refreshing or nourishing to people. And we don't want our gifts to be polluted or spoiled in any kind of way. So, what I want to suggest to you today is to go back and evaluate uh, the temperature of your refrigerator of your gifts. That's your character. What is your character saying? Is your character refrigerator humming along well? Or is it at the right temperature? Or do you need to go back and evaluate that? Not only do you evaluate it, have somebody else evaluate it along with you to make sure that you're not overlooking something, because so many times we can get set in a certain thing and think we're at the right temperature in our refrigerator for our gifts, which is our character. But however, the words say there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end sometimes end is death. So, and in the multitude of counseling, there's safety. So, what I want you to do today is to think about your gifts. And when you stand before God, you want your gifts to be fresh. You want them to be without any type of pollution. And the best way to do that is to use your gifts and talents, whatever they may be, but always keep them under the refrigeration of your character. I pray that God will bless you in such a way that you will always walk uprightly, that God will brag on you as he did Job and say, "Could you consider my servant, whatever your name is?" Because his character has actually kept his gifts in a wholesome state. And I pray that when you stand before God, that he will say, well done, thy good and faithful servant, because your gifts were not polluted and you used them to the best because your refrigeration, your character kept them that way. And let me just throw out one other thing about character for you. A lot of times, character is not strengthened or made in light, it's always made in dark. It's just like mushrooms, they grow better in dark places. So remember, cultivate your character in the darkest places when you're alone, because just showing that your character is in front of the light or people is not the best place to grow it. But in those deep places and when you're alone and in your own thought life is where your character is actually strengthened. So listen, check out your refrigerator and talk to yourself about, how is my refrigerator running? Is the character of my life sufficient enough to keep the gifts and talents that God has given me from spoiling? I love you. See you next time and have a wonderful week.